Thank you for spending time with us, along with Betsy Kling. I'm Jay Crawford. Betsy, a very good Wednesday afternoon to you and to everyone watching at home.
It's not just Wednesday.
It is
Browns Eve.
Oh, that's right.
Again, it's a twofer this week.
I know, we can't keep up.
It is true, and apparently we're not the only ones that can't keep up, because we got a lot of news to bring you on that front, too. We begin with a big headline that is surrounding the Cleveland Browns ahead of tomorrow night's game against the Denver Broncos. Yet another starter on the offensive is out, and it's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big one indeed, Betsy. The Browns announcing this morning Baker Mayfield will not be able to start because of the injury to his left shoulder. Right now, we bring in the voice of the Browns, Jim Donovan, to try to sort this whole thing out. Jimmy, you almost need a scorecard now to figure out who's healthy and who's not.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll deal with the Mayfield situation, though, first. It's been a long week, and the problem is it's a short week for the Browns and Baker Mayfield because they're playing on Thursday night. Here's what happened. They gave Mayfield every opportunity to show that he was okay, and they used their own doctors and one that was provided by him, a shoulder specialist. But in the end, they met with him this morning, and all of the opinions, their doctors, his doctor, was this is not good. There's too much inflammation in the injury that was aggravated on Sunday for you to be comfortably able to play the game. And so with all of that inflammation, they decided you're not going to play. He then went to head coach Kevin Stefanski and said, do you realize I have not missed a game since 2013 when I was at Texas Tech? Wow. He's made 51 straight starts as the Browns quarterback. The hope to him given by the medical people is that the time he is away right now, they can control the inflammation, and he's got a better shot at playing next week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think that sat very well with him, but that's the situation. So Case Keenum gets the start, the Browns' backup quarterback, a veteran, no doubt about it. Has he played a lot in the NFL? Yeah, he really has. I mean, this is his 10th year in the league. He's made 62 starts, and he knows this offense because he was with this offense and Kevin Stefanski in Minnesota with the Vikings, and he had a good run with Stefanski there. Then he went off to Denver, then he went off to Washington, and then he came here, sitting, waiting in the wings, and this is why you have a guy like Keenum.
I'm built for this. This is what I've done my whole career, not knowing if I'm going to start up until game time, to not knowing who's out there with me, to introducing myself to players while I'm calling a play type stuff. So, I'm excited. What better chance to, take advantage of an opportunity than on Thursday Night Football.
All right, it's a big stage for him. All right, let's take a look at him. He beat the Browns as a Minnesota Vikings quarterback. He did that over in London when the Browns didn't win a game that year. That's when the Vikings were really playing well, and he was hot at that particular time. But then the big play in his career came in the playoff game, which is now called the Minneapolis Miracle. The Minneapolis Miracle was the NFC playoff game where Keenum threw an incredible pass that it went for a touchdown on the game's last play, their last heave against the New Orleans Saints right there, and it was the most amazing play, and they won the game. He will always live in the NFL history books for that play, the Minneapolis Miracle. Yeah. This is going to look very different tomorrow offensively. They're going to have to find a different way to play offensively, first of all. But he's a distributor of the ball. Baker Mayfield's kind of a home run hitter. Case Keenum's different. He's going to get the ball to different guys, and it's going to come out very, very quickly, which is a wise thing, and Baker should take a lesson from that because that might have helped him if he had gotten rid of the ball a little bit quicker. So if you're a receiver, a tight end, running back, chances are you're going to get the ball in some position. It's going to be very quick. They'll nibble down the field rather than take big bites, but he'll look for a big bite at some time. Now, the injury situation for the game, a lot of game time decisions. Beckham, game time decision. Landry, game time decision. Both of those starting tackles who have been out the last couple of weeks, game time decision, that being Conklin and Wills. And that's the latest.
So you could have 7 starters, depending on how these game time decisions go. You could possibly have 7 starters that are watching.
Yeah. Here's the way they win the game, too. It's time for this defense to win them a game. They're healthy. The defense is healthy.
Yeah.
And they've played so poorly the last 2 weeks, and they have so much talent. It's up to them, I think, tomorrow to really kind of pull them through the rough spots. And they do what they can. The other thing I would imagine, they'll kick field goals tomorrow rather than go on fourth down. They're going to take points.
Yeah. I also love what he said. When you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
Yeah.
And that's true. He's been in the wings and he's been ready, and we'll see.
And we'll
Jimmy,
see how the
thanks.
weather plays out, too. Matt's got an update on that. May have some showers passing through.
Like we need another problem.
Well, maybe it's worse for the Broncos than for us.
All right, Jimmy, thank you.
You got it.
Now on your feed at 5, we have a lot of vaccine news to tell you about. We're going to have the very latest on booster shots, how WKYC is answering all your COVID-19 vaccine questions, and the White House's plan to get your kids vaccinated.
But as she steps to the table here, our senior health correspondent Monica Robbins joins us now. There is breaking news that's coming in from the FDA.
Oh my goodness, I'm a hot mess over here.
Hey, this happened 2 minutes ago.
I told you they were supposed to do this in the evening. I'm like, no way, they're not going to do it in the evening. They're going to do it right at news time, and absolutely, yes, they did. Okay, everybody, I know a lot of you have been waiting for this. U.S. regulators just approved mixing and matching booster shots, and they also approved the booster shots for Moderna and Johnson & Johnson vaccines. So the J&J boosters are for those 18 and up and can happen 2 months after the initial dose. Moderna, following the same guidelines as Pfizer, those over 65, those in high exposure jobs, and those 18 to 64 with underlying condition that puts them at risk, and that will be 6 months after the second shot. Likely there's a little bit of extra guidance, but pretty much this is what's going on. What we thought was going to happen is exactly what they approved. So now you can go out and get your booster vaccine, or if you want, talk to your doctor and you can get one of the others. And of course, the research was showing that those who got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine and then got a Moderna booster actually had 76 times more protection. So it's going to depend on what everybody wants.
Yeah.
But, you know,
your doctor will know.
Yeah,
check with your doctor.
And you have options.
Yeah.
That's what's most important.
All right, now the kids, this is very interesting because this is new. The White House has a plan here to roll out the vaccine for kids 5 to 11 when they're ready to go, and the shots, we presume, are ready to go. So what can you tell us about the White House plan and when that goes into effect?
Yeah, so the White House announced this plan, and they're now saying this is how they're going to get 28 million kids vaccinated when and if the FDA signs off on giving the shot to those kids 5 to 11. So this is only for the Pfizer vaccine, remember, and it is emergency use authorization. So an FDA panel of experts taking up the issue October 26th, then the CDC panel will take it up November 2nd. Then they will make their decision whether to grant the emergency use authorization. And if that happens, the government is ready to send out specially packaged doses of vaccines to pediatricians, pharmacies, health centers, and children's hospitals. And the latter can also set up vaccine clinics in schools as well.
We worked with Pfizer to modify the packaging of the pediatric doses to make it easier for pediatricians, family doctors, and other providers to provide vaccines to children. And these vaccine doses will be shipped with all the supplies needed to vaccinate kids, including smaller needles.
So we know parents have tons of questions, and we want you to save this date, November 4th from 7 to 8 on air and online. We're having a town hall discussion with physicians from the region's 3 children's hospitals to answer your questions relating to the vaccine and kids. You can start texting your questions to us now at 216-344-3300. Remember, that is a text, not a call, 216-344-3300. We're going to start putting all these questions together, and then I'm going to hammer these doctors.
All right,
because
very good.
I have a lot of questions, too.
I know you do.
Tomorrow, 7 to 8, town hall.
No, November 4th.
November 4th.
November 4th. Okay. So let's get through Election Day.
Yeah,
and
good
then
call.
Because I want to wait, too, because we want to wait and see if the FDA and CDC are going to sign off.
Perfect.
So honestly, it could be that day. So we're going to have your questions for you.
We'll be ready.
You got
Thanks,
it.
Mom.
Sure.
Well, we know that the pandemic has caused a major disruption in our supply chain. Take a look at this video. It's really incredible. They are now putting shipping containers on California streets in neighborhoods because there's just nowhere else to put them. In fact, one truck lost its load while trying to make a tight turn, absolutely crushing this parked car. This is an incredible story, Bets, and we've been talking about it for a while. 200,000 shipping containers are currently stranded off the coast of Los Angeles. I got out my trusty calculator. If you put these 200,000 containers back to back,
Okay, end to end?
end to end, it would stretch from Cleveland, Ohio to Albuquerque, New Mexico.
That's a lot.
1,515 miles of shipping containers back to back, and they're just sitting out there with nowhere to go.
And we don't even know what's on them. Like, they know what's on them, but we don't know what's on them. And so I think about all these sales that are rolling out for Black Friday and all the companies that are like, oh, we're going to have this and this. Guess what? If you can find that shipping container, you might have it. But right now, I'd say that's a big question mark. So we've been telling you before. I'll tell you again. If you want to get it and you see it, grab it, because it may not be there for the holidays.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about Cleveland's role in all this, because we have this beautiful port of Cleveland here downtown on the lake. Could it be helping this backlog that we're seeing nationwide? Our Lydia Esparra talked with them today about the role that they could be playing to end the chaos.
Between early to mid-September and early to mid-December is our busiest time of the year.
A time of year that requires these big ships to come to the port of Cleveland.
So is it ships like that bring these containers?
Ships like this.
David Gutile with the Port of Cleveland says it can contain just about anything you can imagine.
You could have retail products in here. You could have foodstuffs, automobile parts, manufactured goods.
In fact, several large local manufacturers export out of Cleveland.
These are loaded containers waiting to go out for export on the next vessel.
With other ports struggling with supply and demand, it's taken businesses out of the area to finally realize we are no mistake on the lake.
Our volumes are starting to increase because the supply chain crisis is going on around the world. Cargo owners are looking at smaller ports to move their goods through. We've been preaching for a long time that smaller ports many times are more efficient, just as cost effective as larger ports.
Larger ports accommodate vessels making the transatlantic routes. And so can Cleveland. On the Great Lakes, we are the third largest port. And just because we can't harbor cruise ships, Navy ships, or vessels taller than Terminal Tower, in this case, Port of Cleveland can certainly take anything else.
We've been preaching for a long time that smaller ports many times are more efficient, just as cost effective as larger ports.
Lydia Esparra, 3 News.
Well, still ahead for us here on What's New. We've heard about schools experimenting with a year-round school year calendar, but how exactly would that work? We take a closer look.
And Matt Wentz joins us now with a sneak peek at the forecast. Hi, Matt.
Yeah, hey guys, nothing doing this evening. I'll tell you, this gorgeous weather continues. National Weather Service just tweeted out that this is so far the warmest October on record. We are recipients of that this afternoon and evening. No changes in the forecast tonight. The action arrives tomorrow, maybe some rumbles, and we'll talk cooler air after that in the forecast.
On tonight's education station, we spotlight kids who went back to school in the summer. And then, just this week, they went back to school again in the fall.
It kind of seemed like it came right back, didn't it? Well, year-round students have a unique educational calendar, and our January Keaton talked to the school officials about parents about what exactly it means to go to school all year.
Year-round school sounds like you're stuck in school all year, but not exactly.
The length of our school year is the same as any other school.
Year-round students go to school about 180 days a year, just like traditional students, except they have 9 weeks on, 3 weeks off, and repeat until summer break, which is 5 weeks off.
That little bit of respite in between those 9 weeks is a great gift to both your staff and to your students.
But having kids in school year-round can mean increased costs to school districts and schedule conflicts for parents. Stasha Green has 3 kids at a year-round school and 2 in traditional school.
So where her little sisters are at home for Bulldog bonus days and for the intercession, she's still getting up every day going to school.
Year-round student Xavier Harshaw sees only one drawback to year-round school.
You don't have a really long break.
But the pros far outweigh the cons, says Canton's AIM Academy principal Mariana Arvidsson.
That summer slide, which is so critical to our urban and our Title I schools where they slip so much through the summer, it balances out that calendar. It's still the same number of days.
Being a year-round school is a must for Principal Tim Jones of Davis Aerospace and Maritime High School, located right across the street from WKYC Studios.
Our theme needs to have opportunities for kids to be out of the building quite a bit, up in the air, flying, out on the water, and really we can't put kids out on the water when the lake is frozen.
According to the Department of Education, there are now over 3,000 year-round schools in the nation, 22 in Ohio, 6 of them in Cleveland, with CMSD year-round students just heading back to school this week for fall session.
Even though it says year-round school, which could be very misleading, they get the time off, and when they are here, they will enjoy it.
January Keaton, 3 News.
As long as the breaks are staggered, I guess we could see that, as being something possible. I don't know. Teachers and kids may have different views. Some of you may have noticed I put my sweater back on. I'm freezing. I can't help it. I'm trying to be cute, but it's just not happening.
Matt, she actually, when we came back from break, she forgot that the sweater was on. So we did the lead to the piece, and then she looked at me and said, and I had my sweater on that whole time. That's okay. It's a good look.
Hey, we're laid back on this show. It's
we
okay.
are,
right,
yeah.
Right.
Your weather word today is shipping. We had that story in the last block about all these shipping containers.
Yeah.
So have fun trying to make that a weather word.
I ordered toilet paper about 2 weeks ago. It is on that ship, I'm pretty sure, because we have not had it yet. No emergencies yet. It's not like...
I'll bring you a couple rolls. We don't want that to go, without.
And I read the memo on not taking from the station, too. So I would appreciate that, Betsy, if they come from your own house. I was just talking about the Weather Service tweeting out that it is officially the warmest October, at least so far. We're not done, obviously, on record. And today, boy, holding that number up. Temperatures in the 70s once again. This today qualifies as Jay Crawford's best day of the year. I'm telling you, it even blew away last week. Says temperatures in the 70s, clear skies, just gorgeous outside, especially compared to how it could be this time of year. Winds out of the south and the west. So if you are shipping anything from down near Mansfield to Cleveland, on a kite perhaps, it's going to get there a lot quicker than if you had a northwest wind, won't it? And that southwest wind is helping propel a little bit more moisture in here, and that will eventually lead to some clouds out ahead of our weather system. So the changes don't arrive tonight. It's tomorrow that we see a cold front arrive. You notice how the clouds will start to thicken up as we get through the evening hours. We did have a little interval of clouds out through Ashtabula and Lake County over the last hour, even a couple sprinkles out there. That's long gone, though. We're in the 50s tonight, not quite as crisp tomorrow morning out the door. So we're quiet here. There's a little interval of clouds I'm talking about. A couple stray showers out towards Crawford County in Pennsylvania. Otherwise, we're dry this evening. There is some rain in the areas of northern Indiana. These scattered showers will hang in here probably tomorrow morning around 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. But you can see the bigger area of low pressure wrapping up in areas of Minnesota. I've overlaid on here how much moisture is in the atmosphere, precipitable water. And you can see there's not a lot of moisture to wring out with this cold front right now. But as this low heads east, it's tapping into some of this Gulf of Mexico moisture. And you can see how that eventually will connect off towards the north. So that will fill this in on the radar tomorrow. And we are going to have a pretty good shot at rain, maybe 2 rounds of rain as it looks right now. So your National Design Mart hour-by-hour forecast, scattered showers overnight tonight. Tomorrow morning we'll likely have some showers on radar. This particular model clears us out for much of the morning, and then we'll be watching a decent line of some rain move through. We may have some rumbles with this as well, especially with a little daytime heating. You notice midday, early afternoon, we're expecting that main batch of rain to move through. This is the actual front. We're now approaching Browns kickoff tomorrow night. We'll have a front moving through, perhaps some lingering downpours. We should clear it out for much of the game, and then watch what happens on Friday. Much, much cooler. We're back to the lake effect shower setup, just kind of a raw day on Friday. So in terms of kickoff tomorrow, looking good. It will be windy for tomorrow night's game. 15 to 30 mile per hour gusts out of the west. Union Home Mortgage 7-day. Warm tomorrow and then say goodbye to the 60s. We're in the 50s through the weekend. Next week, it looks like we'll carry those rain chances all the way through Tuesday. Betsy?
All right. Thanks so much, Matt. Next on What's New, Christina Aguilera will be in Cleveland next week for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductions, and she'll be sporting a very different look. We have a sneak peek coming up.
Then talk about super focused. Look at this dog in a store, completely locked in there. What do you think he's staring at? You think he's staring at treats, another animal perhaps, maybe a decoy? Those are your 3 choices. We'll give you the answer ahead. It's today's Worth the Watch.
Hey Matt, can you hear me? I put it underneath my shirt and not on the outside of my shirt. Okay, cool. Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
It's pop break time with Kiera Cotton.
Kiera, Celine Dion is in the news right now, and folks that might have been planning a trip to Las Vegas to see her show will want to listen up.
Yeah, she's in the news for sure, and if her fans were looking forward to seeing her, they'll just have to wait a little bit longer. The legendary singer announced yesterday that her residency at the Resorts World Theater would be delayed due to severe and persistent muscle spasms. In a post on Instagram, she wrote, "I'm heartbroken by this. My team and I have been working on our new show for the past 8 months, and to not be able to open this November saddens me beyond words. The residency has now been pushed back to February. And as for her Courage World Tour, well, that's set to kick off in March of 2022. And it's been a while since we've heard from Christina Aguilera, but the longtime singer is back with new music and a new look. The 40-year-old singer is now a redhead. She showed off the new look on Instagram, promoting her new Spanish single, Pa Mas Muchachas, which translates to For My Girls. The song featuring Becky G, Nicki Nicole, and Nathy Pelusi is set to be released this Friday. Christina will also be in town next week, lending her vocals to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. With tomorrow's airing of Law & Order SVU, the show will mark its 500th episode. And to celebrate the occasion, some familiar faces are making a comeback. In a teaser for the episode, we see the return of Captain Cragen, medical examiner Melinda Warner, and even Detective Benson's husband, Trevor Langan. But there's one person missing, Detective Stabler. There's no word yet on if he'll be included in the landmark episode. Law & Order airs tomorrow at 9 p.m. right here on NBC. And if you want to get in on the action, you can watch the SVU cast. There's a special limited edition 500th episode t-shirt that's now available on their website.
Oh, wow.
Right? It's kind of fancy.
Yeah, very cool.
Certainly. All right. Thanks so much, Kira.
Sure thing.
Well, before the break, we asked you what you think this gorgeous dog is staring at. Betsy, any guesses?
I have no idea.
So the choices there were treats, another animal, or decoy. But the point should give it away.
Oh, the decoy.
He has one job, this dog. He's a hunter.
Aww.
And he sees that decoy there, and he is fixed.
There it is.
I mean, he's locked in.
It's not moving.
And neither is the dog.
Still there.
That's a gorgeous animal who's been very well trained. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. He just can't quite figure out what happens next.
Yeah.
I don't know. Beautiful animal.
Hopefully got some yummy treats right after that.
I hope so, because he's a good boy. All right, coming up in the second half hour of What's New, it's entirely possible the Browns will have more starters out for tomorrow night's game on offense than they will playing when they take on the Broncos. We're going to have to get out an injury scorecard to try to keep this thing straight.
Oh, good thing we have Jimmy on our side.
Yes.
And you see her each morning on the Today Show. Now Dylan Dreyer has written a book. Our Holly Strano got to chat with her recently. We have parts of that interview when What's New comes right back.
And now, live from WKYC Studios, this is What's New.
And as we settle in for the second half hour of What's New, we get you up to speed on 3 things you need to know. And we start there with new details on the deadly standoff at a Sandusky County Turnpike Plaza. According to the Highway Patrol, a deputy shot Thomas Connor when he started charging officials with a knife yesterday. The Wisconsin man was flown to the hospital where his condition is unknown. The prosecutor says he will be charged with murder. He's accused of stabbing 2 people at the plaza. One of them died. The other was taken to the hospital and has been released. Authorities believe that the incident was a random act of violence.
And in Florida, authorities believe they have found the body of Brian Laundrie, the fiance of Gabby Petito. Laundrie's parents were in the park searching for him when they found some of his belongings. According to their attorney, they then called the FBI and local police, who found human remains. Those remains have not yet been identified. Laundrie is considered a person of interest in the disappearance of Petito. Her body was found 1 month ago in Wyoming. A coroner there said she was strangled and had been dead for at least 3 weeks.
And we had this as breaking news at the top of the show. The vaccine front has a couple of more weapons in the fight against COVID-19. The FDA will now allow Americans to mix and match those COVID booster shots. And it has also cleared the way now for Moderna and Johnson & Johnson's booster shots as well. J&J boosters are for those 18 years and up. Moderna will follow the same guidelines as Pfizer, meaning those over age 65, those in high exposure jobs, and those 18 to 64 with underlying conditions that puts them at added risk. There will likely be additional guidance, and we'll bring it to you as soon as those details are released. The CDC is also expected to weigh in on mixing boosters, which we've talked about over the last couple of weeks as well. And with that, we welcome you back to What's New with Betsy Kling. I'm Jay Crawford. Thanks so much for joining us. A big night tomorrow night at First Energy.
It will be. And Matt just said it's not just a rain chance that comes in. There's also a wind chance. Jimmy was talking about field goals. It's just all up in the air, especially who's going to be on the field. That's probably one of the biggest things that's up in the air.
That is what's up in the air right now. There's a whole host of players injured on the Browns offense. 2 tackles, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and now the starting quarterback, Baker Mayfield, all dealing with some sort of an injury. Case Keenum will be under center when the Browns take on the Broncos. He was 11-3 filling in for the Vikings a couple of years ago.
All right, so don't give up, everybody. We learned today that Baker Mayfield's starting streak of 51 games will come to an end tomorrow. He will not be playing because of that injury to his non-throwing shoulder. And as Jay said, Case Keenum taking the place.
So Jimmy's here now, and you got your medical scorecard out because we're going to need it. This is incredible.
You know, as you were going through that list, the 2 tackles and everything like that, I think the end thing should have been at a partridge in a pear tree because it was really like a Christmas song.
We love our Brown songs.
We love our Brown
Not that
song.
one, though.
There will be one, I'm sure, coming out Friday if they win tomorrow night. That's a big if, okay? Baker Mayfield is devastated that he's not going to be able to play in tomorrow night's game, but it is the best thought of everybody, even Mayfield, and it was all said and done. There was too much inflammation that had collected around the injury site, which was aggravated on Sunday. That left shoulder, once again, that torn labrum. And so it's decided he will not play. So the guy that will play is a guy that's played a lot, 62 career starts in the NFL, 33-year-old Case Keenum, a guy that Kevin Stefanski really likes because he had a lot of good moments with him in Minnesota when he was with the Vikings. Now, the Browns went out and got him, and they pay him well to be Baker's backup. About $6 million is what he is making this year. Wow. So now it's time to pay off on that, something he's very excited about.
It's always a great challenge. I mean, and that's what this league is about. Nobody's at 100%. After week 1, nobody's playing at 100%. That's the way it goes, and that's the hard truth. That's why it's a grown man's league. That's why guys who aren't physically tough and mentally tough don't make it very long.
So there he is. He knows the drill. He knows the offense probably better than anybody on the Browns team right now because he was in the offense in Minnesota with the Vikings. He also helped put in new stages of the offense. When I interviewed Kevin Stefanski today for the radio coming up tomorrow night, he said, he was a big part of that. He's a great offensive mind that way, and it's all around Gary Kubiak. It's the Kubiak influence around the NFL. I wish I had better news about the other guys, and I can't give you definitive news as to who's in or who's out because many of the guys, the tackles, of course, also, the receivers, Landry and OBJ, those are going to be game-time decisions, which sheds a little hope that maybe some of them are going to get in. A couple of them might be close. Landry would really help.
Just have to be so careful at this point because we have nowhere to go.
Yeah. And you mentioned it before, too. Time for the defense. It really is.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're healthy. They've been terrible the last couple of games.
They have.
If they can do their part and hold Denver to 16 to 20 points in there, I think we've got a chance.
Now, on the other side of this, if the Browns can win tomorrow night, they're back on track. They're 4-3. They get time off to heal, and then they can finally get in their division, which is important because the division has pulled away a little bit from them right now. They'll play Pittsburgh. And Mayfield, if everything goes right, probably can play against the Steelers coming up. They feel they can get that inflammation down.
Oh, Jimmy, thank you so much.
You got it.
Stay put because
Thanks,
coming
Jimmy.
up, Bachelorette fans, I know you're one, have even more reason to watch the show this season. 2 of the contestants are right here from Northeast Ohio, and we are going to tell you who.
You know, I learn something new about Jimmy every day. I did not know that you were a Bachelorette fan.
He's all over it.
One of the originals.
And later, young kids have bad days too. And today's show, meteorologist Dylan Dreyer talks to us about what she does when her little boys are having a tough time. It's the subject of her new children's book. We're going to hear from her on that coming up. But first, Matt is in with his weather in a jiffy. Hi, Matt.
Hey, guys. I sent this thing about 3 o'clock, and I totally forgot what the jiffy is today. So we'll take a look together. Oh, that's right. It's the lion just basking. I think I could stare at this lion for a long time. Was that not us outside today?
Totally.
Just enjoying the breeze. Oh, he's living his best life right there. Big slab of meat coming his way. We've got your forecast next couple days coming up.
Alrighty, 5:39 here in Northeast Ohio with beautiful day today. Took another walk, enjoyed the fresh air. Tomorrow, not so much.
Yeah, not so much. It's going to be one of those evenings, Betsy, to make sure you get the yard work done, get the leaves out of there, clear the drains.
Good point.
Kind of rainy around here over the next couple of days. You know, I was actually going to put off yard work today, and then I said, you know what, 7-day forecast, not looking too great. High temperatures today in the 70s. These aren't records, but it's above average. Our average is generally in the low 60s right now, area-wide. Was just talking to Jay about some of the numbers. it may end up being the first or second place in terms of the warmest Octobers on record. It's warmest so far through this point. But I was looking back at last year, just for an example, we had 8 days up until this point where we had highs in the 50s. So kind of a chilly day outside with the highs in the 50s. This year we haven't had any days with highs in the 50s. They've all officially been 60 or higher. Clouds increase tonight. That's going to mean our temperatures won't quite plummet as they have the last couple nights into the 40s. So we'll be back into the 50s tonight. We've had a couple sprinkles out towards the east. That's just a little northern periphery of the system that's moving in. Not expecting rain the rest of your evening. So good night to clear out, all the leaves and all this stuff before it blows back into the yard tomorrow with the wind. I always hate when that happens. You can see our system taking shape in the Plain States. They've had decent snow. Areas of the Dakotas, Wyoming got hit with some snow from this. No snow for us. We're on the warm side of things. And you can see overlaid on this is precipitable water. That's how much moisture the atmosphere can wring out. There's no precipitable water over us right now. It's very dry, right? But you can see how this moisture is starting to connect with the front. There's not a lot of moisture available now, so you don't see a really prolific line of showers and thunderstorms. But tomorrow, that Gulf of Mexico moisture we'll tap into that, and that will bring us, I think, some pretty good downpours at times tomorrow. Many hours dry tomorrow as well. So let's time out your day tomorrow. National Zymer hour-by-hour forecast. You can see here comes our frontal boundary. We'll likely have some downpours around that. That's around the noon hour. Models depicting west of Cleveland. As we go throughout the afternoon, clouds will increase. Rain will move in. We'll likely have some downpours, probably some rumbles with this as well. That will shift east as we get into your evening. This is Browns kickoff time. You notice still some showers around, so we can't rule out a completely dry game. The wind will be gusty as well as those temperatures start to fall. And then tomorrow night, that's when the bottom kind of drops out. We'll be back into the 50s Friday. We bring that wind off the lake. We did this last weekend. That will kick off some lake enhanced and lake effect showers. And then that continues just a raw look on Friday. Not the best of days, folks. We'll likely stay in the 50s. Lots of clouds around as well. So the bigger picture, this pattern is changing as of the course of the weekend. You can see how those systems go by. A general area low pressure in the eastern half of the country. That will keep the wind coming out of Canada. We'll likely have just a couple leftover showers on Saturday. I think we'll be dry outside of that. And then you can see next week very active. Remember, the west is getting pummeled as we get into the weekend. Much needed rain. They're talking 5 to 9 inches of rain for areas of California. Those systems come east, and we're likely talking some rain back in our forecast on Monday and Tuesday. We remain unsettled next week. So quiet weather now. Next week, not so much. We turn pretty active around here. Union Home Mortgage 7-day forecast. Still 60s tomorrow. Scattered rain and rumbles. Friday, we deal with leftover showers. Continuing on into Saturday. Temperatures in the 50s. Sunday, Cleveland Marathon, 7 a.m. We're looking at temps perhaps in the 40s, but it will be dry to start Sunday. It's Sunday night that the rain starts to move back in. So all those marathoners out there, we're looking good, but chilly on Sunday morning.
And you mentioned, too, it's going to be dark for the start of the marathon.
Usually in May, the sun rises at 6. Now they moved it to October just this year due to COVID, and the sun doesn't rise for 50 minutes into the race. So a dark race through downtown Cleveland.
Put your headlamp on.
Right, I'm carrying a flashlight.
Going to be great. All right, thanks so much, Matt. We'll see you at 7.
All righty, Jimmy's at his desk taking notes. He is breathlessly awaiting this news on the Bachelorette. And Stephanie Haney is in now with Clicking in Cleveland, and she has all the details. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, Jay. First I'm going to take some notes from Jimmy. We're going to talk about the Browns first. The Browns fans, they are, of course, reacting to Case Keenum starting at quarterback due to Baker Mayfield's injury and showing their support for the decision. Fans like Jim say they admire Baker wanting to play through the injury, but think now is the time to rest and heal. Ray agrees with the long break now before the Steelers game here at home on October 31st, which, of course, we know is an important game with playoff implications. And then lots of people had praise for Keenum and his ability to step in. But it is not going without notice that, of course, we will be out with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and quite a few others, as you all mentioned earlier. All things considered, though, a lot of people agree this is the right move. And here is that Bachelorette news. The Bachelorette is back, and we have not one, but 2 Northeast Ohio guys competing for love this season. They are vying for the heart of this lady, Michelle Young, a 28-year-old teacher from Minnesota. First up, we have Rick Leach. He is 32, and he showed up with his head on a platter for Michelle. Very interesting choice, but he did get a rose. He is a medical sales rep who loves his dog, Nana, and hates double dates. He is living in LA right now while he works on his executive MBA at Loyola Marymount University, and he's a graduate of Walsh University here in Ohio. The second Ohioan on this season is the youngest contestant on the show at the age of 25. This is Spencer Williams. Now, he and Michelle have basketball in common. She played in college, and he played professionally overseas. at the College of Worcester, too, and she called him a slam dunk before giving him a rose. He is a financial crimes analyst living here in Cleveland, and he's a single dad to his adorable 3-year-old son. Spencer says he likes hot tubs and snowball fights. So those are the bare bones that we know about them right now. Of course, we'll get to know more about them as the season progresses.
Betsy, I think I'm going to speak for both of us here. That head on a platter,
that was disturbing.
We need some sort of explanation there. What was that?
You know, he had a cute little metaphor. He said, once you're done with the appetizers, let me know when you're ready for the main entree.
So he was hidden underneath this, and I'm assuming that was a big surprise. Did that go over well or
she
not?
She pulled it up. She screamed and sort of like walked away, and it was, very startling.
She's lucky
obviously.
he didn't get clunged in the head with the lid. I'd have smacked him.
Yeah. That's a heck of a first impression. I don't know if it's a good first impression or a bad first impression. Maybe we'll find out to see how long he sticks around.
The goal is to be memorable. They did it.
Oh, he did it.
Nailed it.
He hit that out of the park.
All right. Thanks, Stephanie. That's good stuff. Woo. All right, coming up, everybody, we talked to Today's Show host and meteorologist Dylan Dreyer, mom to 3 young boys. She says during the pandemic, her kids had some really bad days. Didn't all of our kids do that? Well, she has a new children's book out to help kids cope. That is the conversation ahead.
And later, soldier reunions with their kids just never get old. We have one that was super creative. It will give you chicken skin, and you may need a tissue. It's our Show Us Something Good, and it's great, and it's coming up.
Recently, Today's Show host and meteorologist Dylan Dreyer released a new book called Misty the Cloud. And our Holly Strano recently had the chance to talk with her about the inspiration for that book, her advice for talking with kids, and the recent birth of her 3rd baby boy.
I love that you have taken weather and related it, because there's so many analogies there, and your books are just amazing.
When we first thought about this imaginative cloud world up in the sky, at first it was really just imagining cloud characters, because they didn't really exist in any other book or cartoon that I've ever seen before. So that was first and foremost. And then when we thought about it, it's amazing how much weather and emotion parallel each other. And that's what we wanted to do with Misty in this first book, was to introduce the fact that it's okay to feel those feelings. It's okay to have a grumpy day, but it's what you do with those emotions that makes the difference, because it does impact everyone around you. And in this case, it impacts Claire, who's the human who lives on the ground and her baseball game gets rained out. So Misty learns how to control her feelings.
We as adults, I feel like, have all these emotions going through us. Mm-hmm. And what would be your best advice to the adults, the caregivers?
Well, I think my biggest advice is to give kids credit. Have a conversation with them, not as a kid, but as a peer. So Calvin's, kicking and screaming and doesn't want to do whatever I'm having him do at the moment. And I said, Calvin, do you want a hug? And it stopped him in his tracks. And he just looked at me and he shook his head. And he gave me a hug. And then we talked. And we actually had a real conversation about what was going through his mind, what he was feeling. And I was like, wow, I just had a full-on adult conversation with a 3-year-old. And it goes a long way.
I love your cooking segments with him on a totally...
Oh, thank you.
How are you doing as just a new mom in general? Speaking of mental health and all the moms that are watching that are going through the same thing.
You mentioned cooking with Cal, and that's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If I'm home, those are my moments where I stop whatever I'm doing and I make sure I spend that time with the kids. I make sure we all sit down together, we talk, there's no TV, there's no iPad, we just sit and enjoy each other's company.
Well, we want to say a big congratulations to Dylan on her new baby boy, Russell, with his little graduation cap. And Dylan says she's going to be working on a whole series of books under the Misty the Cloud title. And she nailed it. Weather is often an analogy for emotion that a lot of people use. Why are you under the weather? Are you having a very grumpy day? And they always kind of show rain clouds with that, So
true.
If you kind of go along those parallels, it's something that adults can understand. Kids get it too.
Yeah, I think weather determines my mood more days than not.
Oh my gosh.
When I look out the window and it's a sunny day, man, you can't stop me. I'm ready to go.
True story. Had a meeting today with meteorologists in our company and all across the country. Yeah. And one of the gals from one of our stations in Texas was like, oh, it's a little cloudy today. People are a little down. And I just was like, like the next 5 months, we're going to be down here in Cleveland.
We feel you, Texas.
It's all good. I promise tomorrow's probably going to be a lot better for you.
Yeah. The weather does determine moods, and I think it does. I think you're right. You can make a lot of analogies to kids with the weather, and it's going to get better.
Yeah.
It always does. All right, coming up, we love a good surprise soldier reunion here at What's New, and this one might be one of the better ones that we've seen yet. It's our Show Us Something Good, and it's coming up.
And later on What Matters Most at 6, we'll explain how a bill now in the Ohio House would make it nearly impossible for transgender teens to have access to transition drugs and doctors. We'll sort through that controversy next. Now, today would have been Mickey Mantle's 90th birthday. What did the baseball star do after retiring from the MLB? Did he coach for the Yankees? Did he sell life insurance? Or did he work for a casino? We'll have the answer when we return. Ooh, Jay looks perplexed. The discussion was definitely interesting here in the studio. Before the break, we asked you what Mickey Mantle did after retiring from the MLB. Jay, do you have any guesses?
Well, because all of the above isn't a choice, I know for a fact he definitely was a coach with the Yankees. Okay. So I'm definitely going to say that A. But I do remember that he had some kind of, he got in trouble by baseball, and I thought it was for doing something with the casino.
We pulled the card out from the Betsy Kling file of Throwdown Thursday and made up our own. It is all of the above, actually.
Oh, that wasn't a choice.
Well, sometimes it's a little shady.
Okay, yeah, well, sometimes it is. I think I got that one right, but anyhow. So we told you going to the break that we love those reunions when soldiers come home and they get to see their families for the first time in a long time. This one's really, really good. Comes to us from Alabama. 9th grader Fred Grooms is number 28 there, closest to your screen, on the right of your screen there. He was one of the captains before the game. The referee brought everybody to the field and said, okay, I want you guys to look into the faces of these officials so you know who they are during the game. And they're looking around. He's telling them, look right into their eyes.
Get all officials' faces down. Know them good. You know, to your captains, you look them over. You
That's Fred's dad. And that is absolutely awesome. See, they do that because a lot of times you're not really looking at the officials, and they wanted to make sure that the thing didn't fail, and he never noticed that that was his dad. But once he had to look all the officials in the eyes, there's no mistaking. There's my pops. And that is a hug that's worth $1 million.
So me being the jerk I am, I totally would have been the kid on the other team like, he's not actually a ref, is he? Because that's not fair.
He did not referee the game.
He didn't.
He was just there. And now, you know, he hadn't seen his son in a year.
Oh, that's so
you
cool.
can imagine the emotion that was just
and
flowing
how much the
there.
kid has grown. I mean, the dad is probably just soaking this moment in, and obviously his son was too. That's awesome.
Great moment for sure. That's all the time we have for you today, but we are back tomorrow at 5, and we hope you join us on What's New.
That's right. Big day tomorrow with the Browns game coming up. Right now, though, what matters most with Russ and Lena takes over.
Now at 6, quarterback shakeup. Baker Mayfield is out, Case Keenum is in, as the Browns get set for tomorrow night's game against the Broncos. The voice of the Browns, Jimmy Donovan, has the latest and has details in this developing story. Also, vaccinating children.
Well, children, certainly less than 18, account for about 20% of the population, so children are important to create herd immunity.
The White House releases details on how and when young children can finally get their COVID shot. Legislation controversy. Sarah Shookman explains how a bill now in the Ohio House would make it nearly impossible for transgender teens to have access to transition drugs and doctors. And the Port of Cleveland.
We've been preaching for a long time that smaller ports many times are more efficient, just as cost effective as larger ports.
Lydia Esparra tells us how the port is playing a key role in keeping goods moving during one of the most challenging times in the shipping industry.
From the WKYC studios, this is What Matters Most.
Good evening and thanks for being with us. I'm Russ Mitchell.
And I'm Lena Lai. Tonight, with just a little over 24 hours until the Browns host the Broncos, some big changes for the Browns starting lineup.
Yep, Baker Mayfield is out, Case Keenum is in. We got the official word this morning. And the voice of the Browns, Jimmy Donovan, is here to break this all down for us. And as they say, when it rains, it pours.
Yeah, it really does. And the Browns and Baker Mayfield gave it everything they possibly could do, but they didn't have a lot of time to get this shoulder injury really to the point where he could play in the game because it's a Thursday night game. So basically, all of the doctors, Mayfield, and all of the Browns officials and coaches met this morning, and the decision was too much inflammation in that injury that was aggravated Sunday. It's better that you do not play, which means this guy plays. Case Keenum, the backup quarterback for the Browns, becomes the starting quarterback for the Browns in a mighty big game coming up tomorrow night. How many games has he played in the NFL as a starter? 62. But remember, he knows this offense like the back of his hand because he was with Kevin Stefanski and played under him in Minnesota and played very, very well, took them all the way to the NFC Championship game. Keenum feels for Baker Mayfield because he knows how badly Baker wanted to play in this game and make his 52nd career start as the Browns quarterback.
He, take a freight train to keep him out of the game. And that's, I'm assuming that's what it did. Because, I mean, there's that dude plays through some serious pain, and it's impressive to be around. It's inspiring. I know the guys feel the same way.
It will look different tomorrow night, okay? He knows the offense very well. He's a distributor, not a home run hitter, okay? He'll move the ball down the field. Everyone will get involved. The doctors also encourage Mayfield that this time off and then the extra time, because of course they don't play on Sunday, will give him a better opportunity to play a week from Sunday when the Steelers are here.
As you said, Keenum 62 starts, and they're paying him a lot of money to be the backup quarterback, right?
$6 million.
Okay, that's not bad at all. All right, Jimmy, we'll see you later in sports.
You got it.
And we have breaking news in the COVID-19 pandemic. U.S. regulators will now officially allow the mixing of COVID shots for boosters. Senior health correspondent Monica Robbins is here now. This was expected.
Yeah, it was expected, and that COVID toolbox is just getting a little bigger. But there is one more step that needs to take place, and I'll get to that in a minute. So just an hour ago, the FDA approved booster shots for Moderna and Johnson & Johnson vaccines and is allowing people to mix and match. Now we have to wait for the CDC to sign off, which will likely come tomorrow. So here's how it will work. Johnson & Johnson's second dose can be given 2 months after the first for anyone over age 18. The Moderna booster can be given 6 months after the second dose. And just like Pfizer, that was already approved, it's intended for those over age 65 and those 18 to 64 with underlying conditions that puts them at high risk, such as diabetics, and those with jobs that puts them at high risk, such as healthcare workers. Also, the FDA is allowing people to get a different type of booster if necessary, meaning those who got the J&J or Pfizer vaccines could get a Moderna boost, but at a half dose. The FDA did not say half doses were required for the Pfizer or the J&J shot.
And we don't anticipate that they'll recommend one over the other if you started with one or the other.
Yeah, you know what? Initially, we expected the FDA to say, stick with the one you first got, and people can absolutely do that. I think this is more for if there's shortages or if people just don't think that they got enough antibodies from the first one. But you know what? That's something you really need to talk to your provider about.
Okay. Also, new today, more information about younger kids getting vaccinated.
Right. Those 5 to 11-year-olds. Yeah, this would only be for the Pfizer vaccine. So an FDA panel of experts will take up the issue October 26th. The CDC panel will discuss it November 2nd. Then they'll make their decision whether to grant emergency use authorization for the Pfizer vaccine. If that happens, the government worked with Pfizer to repackage vaccines specifically for the 5 to 11-year-old age group, including smaller needles. They have 25,000 pediatricians and family doctors signed on as well, and other sources to give out the shots.
By sending vaccines to pediatricians, pharmacies, community health centers, and rural health centers, working with children's hospitals to host vaccination sites, including on nights and weekends, helping schools stand up vaccination clinics, and deploying mobile clinics to meet families where they are,